Hello and welcome to this week's really extra super powerful Power Packed Podlet. My name is Rachel. I'm your host for these mini magical journeys together. So, this week's episode, let's talk about 2020. When quarantine began, when this situation was happening globally, a lot was happening for the individual. We'd gone from our usual everyday routines of rinse, repeat, which is the case for a lot of human beings on this planet. And for a lot of people, that rinse, repeat routine was suddenly taken away. And they found themselves in a situation, maybe this was you, that was very different from normal. And what happens when we're in a different situation from our average day to day is we suddenly become aware of things we weren't aware of before. And there were two very specific groups of people that very specific things were happening for. And you will fall into one of these two categories, potentially both. So there was a big group of people who'd never really been on the path of self-inquiry, or maybe had just begun to dip a toe in it, of asking questions like, why am I here? Am I living a life that brings me happiness and joy? Is this the life I'm choosing to lead? The type of questions that a lot of people ask themselves when going through a midlife crisis. And so a lot of people began to realize what I'm doing with my time is not making me happy. A lot of people began to realize that so much of their time and energy was being put into things that they didn't want to be doing. And so they started to question. A lot of people started to go within, having spent so much time living life through repetition, through unconscious action, suddenly they were aware. And so there was an influx of people who had minimal experience on the path of being in their bodies, of connecting with their breath, of having somatic practices, of being on the healing journey, of having spiritually inclined questions. Suddenly this influx of people starting to go on to that path, getting curious, doing research, beginning to connect with people who have a level of embodiment, wisdom, and experience that they did not. So this group of people suddenly wanted to connect with a group of people that they hadn't even thought to beforehand. Now let's talk about the second group. The second group of people, these were those of us who've been on the path for quite some time, maybe a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, or longer. We've been on the path of self-inquiry, of the spiritual practices, the holistic, the wellness, whether it's nutrition, fitness, well-being, spirituality, or all of the above, with a level of experience, embodiment, and wisdom that require decades of practice, decades of study, thousands, if not tens of thousands of hours of experience. What happened with this group, a lot of us suddenly found ourselves either without work or having to work differently. And so we began to ask ourselves questions. Is the way that I am spending my time in alignment with the level of wisdom and experience I have? Is how I'm investing my energy really serving me now? Because so many of us have now entered our wise woman or wise man era. With the level of embodiment and experience that we have, we found that we were still working the way that we did at the start of our journey, still earning in the same way, still having to work the same number of hours and as hard. And the wake-up call was realizing that what we were doing wasn't sustainable and also not in alignment with our level of expertise. You see, those of us with this level of expertise, if we were working for somebody else, we would have already climbed up the ladder. And so our wake-up call was actually connecting us with the other group of people. I have a level of embodiment and wisdom that serves you. You have a level of desire, but also an understanding of the value of paying for embodiment that serves me. And so many of us with this experience have started to build companies that work differently. providing high-level services to people that have the desire to pay more. They have the means to pay more. And so for myself, for example, as a business coach for spiritual mentors, but also a spiritual mentor for leaders, women leaders specifically, people pay me for my embodiment because I compress time for them. The amount of decades and tens of thousands of hours to get to the level of understanding that I can provide in a minute, in 5 minutes, in 60 minutes for somebody who comes and invests in my, not time, my embodiment. So there's been this merging of two worlds that beforehand hadn't really met each other. And there's been this influx of embodied leaders who are changing the way that they create wealth and who they serve. The question I have for you is, are you on that train? Are you in one or both categories? Have you noticed this influx? Have you noticed this shift? Have you begun to shift yourself? Maybe you felt this call. If you're one of these embodied leaders with so much experience, you probably felt that call that it was time to do things differently. And maybe you've not known how to, because your external environment hasn't provided you with the wisdom of how to change, how to do things differently, how to serve at a greater level and earn accordingly. And so this is the shift for you, because if this is you for so long, you've been identifying as the service provider, and this is what's getting in your way. So you think of yourself as a nutritionist, a therapist, a coach, a healer, a musician, an interior designer. You think of yourself as the service provider, and therefore you are earning in accordance with being the service provider. You are working the hours that a service provider works. The missing piece for you is to understand that you are also the founder of a concept or a method, and you are the owner of a company. And the big shift here is, if what you're wanting is to create a level of wealth that not only is in alignment with your experience, is also going to give you the freedom as you're in your wise woman or wise man era to be able to soften more, serve at a greater level whilst you soften more, not so much push. The missing piece for you is understanding the identity of being the founder and the owner of a company that is renowned, a brand that people trust. This is the big shift. And what is it that the owner of a company does? The owner of a company makes decisions differently from a service provider, invests differently, focuses long term, gets expert advice, thinks of what are the foundations I'm building now for future freedom. What is it I'm learning now and trialing out now in the beta phase so that I can continue to improve my products, services, and how my company functions? This is your shift. You want to be earning more money, you've got to start to think differently, invest differently, your time, your focus, and your finances. I'm going to leave you with a question, and then I'm going to give you an example of what this question can lead you towards. What is the shift in how you are running your company that is going to allow you to serve at a greater level whilst not having to give away more of your time and energy? I've got a second question for you. Who are the people that want to invest in what you offer? This is the question I had for myself. The reason I created the school wasn't that I created something and then tried to sell it. I looked to the market of the people I want to serve and then asked myself, how may I be of such great service and provide something that solves a problem so that it makes logical sense for them to invest in it. So my mission in this lifetime is to serve as many people as I possibly can. I call them light workers. People who are here to make a difference in the world. People who are here through who they are, how they show up, what they model, but also the services they provide to do good in the world in some way. Whether it's through doing good directly or it's through art and what that brings to the other. And what better way to do this than to show you what it is to create wealth in a way that's aligned to you, where you get to do what makes you truly happy and that makes your clients happy as well. So this is the service I choose to bring to the world, to empower light workers, to understand and know their value, to charge accordingly, and to create time and financial freedom whilst making a difference. So I invite you to go away and contemplate this. Are you on this train? Are you seeing the merge of these two worlds colliding? Are you seeing how the personal development, well-being, artistic creation industry is booming right now? And are you choosing to be a part of that boom? It will call you to stretch yourself. It will call you to leave behind the familiarity of what you've known up until this point and step into novelty, uncertainty in the new and the unknown. So it can feel scary, and that's normal. You're going to be fine. For those of you who you wish to have the support, the coaching, the guidance, and the community, as you navigate these changes, as you implement, as you learn, as you do things you've never done before and don't even know how to do right now, and you have the education to guide you there, then the school is your next step. Being in the community space of the school, the educational hub, this is your next step. And it's never been easier. If you're listening to this before the 23rd of March, you can join us for a trial month. You can be in the school for 30 days, and you can see just how powerful it is and how much your nervous system relaxes when you are supported and you are around other women leaders who want to do big things in this lifetime. I will include the links below. We have a beautiful group of women coming in. I won't share any more. If you have questions or you want to hear more about what this looks like, then send me a DM.